Hello everyone, good evening. I hope you can hear me, see me as well as see the presentation. Just give a confirmation if everything is good from my side. You can hear me, see me at the corner, bottom corner, as well as see the presentation that I'm showing. Is there some problem? Can someone confirm if things are good from my side? Or is there a problem with me? So I hope the answer is that everything is good from my side. That's why you said yes, Lakshmi. Going. Thanks a lot. That's great. Right, we'll just start in a couple of minutes. Before that, it will be great if I can get just one liner about what exactly are you, looking for in terms of IELTS. Are you looking to prepare for IELTS, academic, general? If you already know what they are, if you don't know, don't worry. We are going to discuss about all of this. So, any questions you have? Which country are you trying to go for work, for immigration? Just one liner, right? Something that I would help me to understand the people that we have, right? And also I know that I am not talking to myself, and there are people on the other side. It will be great. People can be kind enough to post something. Great, Sumit. Thank you. Thanks for the start. That's the hardest one to do. So you want to go for your MBA in Germany? Great. What about others? No, you can type it out, Lakshmi. This one we don't. There's a webinar that we do, so we don't let the participants talk vocally, but you can type. Masters in Canada, MBA in UK. Hi, PG diploma in Canada. Great. MS in UK. Brilliant. Okay. One of Aru is looking for UK for immigration, masters in Canada. So I got good number of students, it seems, who are planning to go for masters in English speaking countries. Obviously Germany is not, but still you're going to an English speaking institute or university. Anyone for immigration purpose? I have seen one, but if people are also for the immigration general training candidates, I can also try to talk a little bit about that as well. Great. Okay, perfect. Right, so let's start the session. So I'm going to first introduce myself. Who exactly am I? So I am Jaideep. I'm the founder of this company called GT Cube. So I'm an alumnus of BITS Pilani, and then I am Koikot. I worked for a couple of years as a consultant, and then I quit my job to start a company along with my friends, who were also my batchmates at IIM. So you're all a group of people who are interested to use, technology to make education a bit more effective and interactive. So we are just doing some things in a lot of domains. So one of the domain is to get into the study abroad area. Coming to our trainer IELTS expert we have on board, it's Megha Shukla. So she has more than 5 years of experience. She's trained thousands of students in her career. And the great news that we have is that most of our students, 90% of our students, have achieved their desired band scores right in their first attempt. So what exactly are we going to discuss in today's session, right? So let me first run through that so that you know what you can expect from it. And if there is something that I've missed, something you want to know, you can always post it in the comments, in the chat. So maybe I might not find it right time to answer it, then I might keep it to the end. But if there is something that would really help you, I will definitely not skip the question, and I would definitely answer it. It could be about IELTS, GRE, GMAT, maybe universities, study application process and all of that. Anything that I can add value in, I'll definitely try to help you out. So don't worry, don't hesitate. You can definitely post about it. So coming to this part, so what exactly are we going to do? First, I would try to give you an answer, or rather a sense of whether you should take IELTS or not, because that's one of the tests that are available, and who exactly need to take it and what is the purpose behind taking it, right? I would try to give a bit of clarity on it if you do not have it already, because sometimes we see some students who say that they want to settle down in India or plan to do something else, and they might look at IELTS, but there's no point in doing that, right? So we just thought let's clarify that in the beginning itself, if by chance if anyone has confusion. Next, we're going to do that eternal discussion that people always ask us, which one should I take, IELTS versus TOEFL versus PTE. So we are going to show the differences, and then we will try to give you a verdict based on our opinion. Again, that's not obviously a very final answer, but we will tell you what you need to look at to decide for yourself. Finally, we're going to talk about the academic and general training briefly to just have a difference between what these two are. And I'm going to get into the exam pattern. So what exactly do they test in the exam? How do I need to prepare for it accordingly? And then a very good or important question according to us is that, can I prepare for IELTS on my own? So we get questions from students that, can I do it, on my own? So we would want to give an answer for that. So the answer right now I would say is yes or no. It depends on your ability and your desired score. So I'm going to attack on it a bit the later part. Finally, I'm going to get into the preparation resources. So some of the resources that you can check to prepare to take practice and improve your skills and all. Then the FAQs, frequently asked questions. So we are going to tackle 3 frequently asked questions. Number 1, British Council versus IDP. Which one is better for me? If you know them, great. I'll talk about it. Even if you don't know, I'll introduce them, so don't worry. I'm just telling this because we always get questions in between the sessions, so we thought we will clarify what we are going to talk in the FAQs. Number 2, computer based versus paper based. Which one is easier? Which one should I take? What should I prefer? Etc. etc. And the third one is, recently in the COVID times, IELTS have started, or IELTS has started IELTS indicator test. That is something that is a replacement for academic test to take it from home. I'm going to answer about that because some students ask us, can I take it? Would that work for my purpose of applications? So I'm going to talk about that also. And finally, I'll keep the session open for the Q&A. So the entire session I would say would go around 45 minutes. Then I'll keep it open for another 15, 20, 25 minutes depending on the questions that I get to help you get your queries solved. Right? So let's start the session. So first thing, as I said, should you take IELTS? So what does IELTS stands for? International English Language Testing System. So it is an exam which measures the proficiency of a person who wants to study a work where English is basically used as a language of communication. So let me first talk about something called ELP. If you have not heard about it, these are called ELP tests, right? English Language Proficiency Tests. So IELTS is just one of them. So TOEFL, PTE, right? There are a lot many more exams like CELT, a Duolingo test is also there. So all of these are basically like testing the same thing, basically how good your language skills are in English language, but everyone does it in a different way. All that matters is whomever you're applying to, what are the accepted scores. So you just have to go with it. Right, so IELTS is graded from 0 to 9 or 1 to 9. So that's a scoring system. Like we are used to 100% or 0 to 100. Rather, they do 1 to 9. I'm going to get into that a bit later. IELTS is available in a lot of locations across the world. But the most important point I would say is IELTS is the most widely accepted English language proficiency test across the world. It is accepted by almost 11,000 organizations. That's what their website says. TOEFL is slightly behind it, but not really far. But I would say TOEFL is also fine. And then PT is the next third one, but it's way far behind these two. But still undisputed leader in a way is IELTS, where it's accepted by most number of universities and companies across the world, which is basically 145 countries. Right? So, as I said, should you take IELTS or not? If an answer is yes for one of these two questions I am going to talk about, then I think obviously you should look at IELTS. Are you a student who is planning to pursue higher studies in foreign countries? When I say foreign countries, like US, UK, Canada, Australia, and the European countries like Germany, maybe it could be Sweden, Italy, France, basically. Some of these universities, when they're doing course in English, for non-native speakers, they ask you to prove your proficiency by taking this test. Otherwise, for UK, for Canada, Australia, and USA, it's pretty much mandatory, there's no doubt, because we are not native speakers. We are coming from a non-native speaking country. So we are bound to do that, right? There are few universities you find, for example, in UK, which says you have done your 10th and 12th in English, graduation in English, so maybe you can, apply without IELTS. But I'll tell you the new visa rule that is being enforced, it is still in, in the implementation, but I think soon in few months, it will be seen that UK is also making it mandatory to get visa. Forget about university admit. First of all, to get a visa, you need to take an IELTS or other English proficiency test. So that's one answer. So you are looking to go to one of these countries for your higher studies, bachelor's, master's, PhD, you should definitely look at taking this exam called IELTS. Or you are someone who wants to migrate, right? Get a job and settle down there to a foreign country like Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK. So for your permanent residence applications, you need to have your IELTS score. Alternatives are there for different countries, but most probably for Canada, it's what most of the people take. For Australia, it's PTE versus IELTS, but more or less this is what you should be doing. Basically, take an English language proficiency test to prove your skill set. So if you have a yes for one of these two, then it makes sense for you to look at IELTS as an exam and prepare for it accordingly. If you are looking for any other option and maybe trying to take GATE in India, maybe trying to do CAT in India, management courses in India, or something else, I think it doesn't make any sense, right? So just to clarify that. So IELTS versus TOEFL versus PTE. Sumit, if you have any question on GRE or GMAT, I'll take it up at the end. And we also have a session for GRE tomorrow. If you're interested, you can attend that as well. But I'll take it up at the end if there's anything specific you want to know. So first and foremost, I'm going to talk about a very superficial differences that it has, and then I try to go a little bit deeper into what we get, based on our experience of training students over the years. So what are the differences you see in these three exams, right? IELTS is the only exam which is still doing paper based. They have both. You can take computer based or paper based. But if by any chance you are a person who prefers to do it paper based, right? You're not comfortable reading, you're not comfortable, typing out. For some reason, you're not very comfortable with, using a computer. So maybe I see some students who prefer to do paper based. For them, there's no other choice that IELTS is the only test that can give you that, option. Just all purely go with computer based thing. Then the speaking format in IELTS is the only test again which does face to face. If you take a paper based, a physical invigilator or examiner rather, in computer based you will see it through a video conferencing tool. Whereas when you see a TOEFL or PT, it's more like a recording thing. They'll be giving you a question and they ask you to speak into the mic and record your voice. So this way, some people might feel it comfortable because they're not seeing anyone physically in front of them, right? So you just talk to computers, so you might be a little bit more comfortable rather than feeling nervousness. But the other way around, I see some people prefer to talk to humans. They find it more human and they find it easier to talk to humans than to speak into a mic and do it. And also PT has a reputation, TOEFL also in a way, they do penalize for accent. IELTS is a little bit less, they do claim that they don't penalize for accent. I'll put as long as your pronunciation is fine, you will do good with IELTS. But for us Indians with some heavy accent, sometimes they do see some disadvantage with these exam scores in the speaking especially. The duration is pretty much the same, matter of an hour, so I would say not much of a difference. Cost is also pretty much the same. Score ranges are different, but I'll tell you, all the universities are, for PR applications, they know the clear classification of how good is it or how hard is it to score 80 in IELTS versus getting an 80 in PTE. So, for example, for Australian PR purpose, they say if you are a student who took PTE or if you're an applicant with PTE, 79 to 82 is a good score for them, which is equivalent to getting 8 in IELTS. Or if you are a student who's applying for a US university, 6.5 in IELTS is the cutoff they put for IELTS, and they would say you should get 90 in TOEFL. So for them it's equivalent. So that way you don't have to worry how does they convert and all. They have their own ways of figuring out what score does matter to them and all. Coming to the sections part, everyone tests the same thing: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Right? It's 4 basic communication modules. All right. But what makes the TOEFL and PT a little bit harder, based on what I hear from students, is that they do have something called integrated tasks. So integrated task means you're supposed to listen to some audio clip, then you write a summary of it. So they are testing your listening and writing skills. You're supposed to read a summary, a passage, and write a summary of it, and also speak a summary of it. In a way, you are being tested your reading, writing, and speaking skills. So even if you're bad at one skill, it will get affected because let's say you didn't understand a passage, you didn't do well in terms of reading, then you're bound to not perform well in your writing and speaking because obviously that's an input you're taking to write your essay or answer. Unlike here where everything is in a way a different module, so some students find IELTS to be a little bit easier, but I will tell you, if you're good with your basics, I think not much of a difference is observed in all three. Validity is exactly the same. If you take exam now, you can use it for the next 2 years for your applications, for your visa purpose and all of that. And the scores pretty much come in within a week. Not much of a difference if it's a computer based, but if you go for IELTS paper based, you have to wait for almost 2 weeks. So if you're in a hurry, maybe you have to consider whether you need to go for this paper based or computer based. That's a choice that you need to take. Now, what is our verdict, right? So let's say if you ask me, how much do you think, or rather what exam should I take if I am interested to go for US, UK, etc. So this is what I will tell you. For a student who is looking to pursue higher studies in US, TOEFL or IELTS will do equally good, but I would say TOEFL has a slight edge. Okay, I would say like Stanford is one of the top universities. I've observed mostly in the top universities that culture where they ask for TOEFL. So US universities by default have a slight edge. When I say, it's not that they will be having any negative bias, but I'm telling you, out of 100 universities you pick, 98 to 99 universities would accept IELTS in US. Right, there will be another one or two universities which would accept TOEFL as well. So you can take any one of the exam, but you are in a way, right, if one of your shortlisted universities is asking for TOEFL, then maybe you might have to take it because if you have taken IELTS. But that happens rarely. But again, I would say to the students, check the universities that suits your profile and see what's expected and accordingly decide on it. For UK, undoubtedly you should take IELTS, no doubt about that. For Canada also, it's IELTS. Some universities accept TOEFL, PT and all, but you would see that acceptance is way higher in IELTS. Almost all, not almost, every university in UK and Canada would accept IELTS. There's no doubt about that. Australia, again, PT or IELTS, both of them will do fine. Again, Australia is the only country where we would ask students to look if you are interested to take PTE. Especially for the PR candidates, I will tell you, PTE is one exam where some people find it easier to score compared to IELTS. Again, I would ask students, for PR purpose, I'm saying immigration purpose, you can consider PTE as an option or IELTS if you're looking to immigrate to Australia. But otherwise, I think university-wise, not much of a difference in either of the exams. And for Europe and Germany, again, most of the universities, if they ask, they would ask for IELTS score. So that way, the other advantage IELTS has is that if you want to look for multiple countries, right, you're not sure of which country I want to apply, I want to keep my options open, IELTS is the one which gives you the maximum, mileage or viability, because that's the most accepted exam across the world. If you're very sure of US, maybe there's a reason you can look at TOEFL, but otherwise if you're looking at multiple countries, I see that's the reason why IELTS is the most widely taken exam as well. So that's what I would say. So you have to think, there are two things I would want you to think if you're confused between these tests. Number one, which countries am I interested to go for? And number two, what are my skill sets in it and where can I maximize my score? Maybe you can take a couple of mocks and all to understand and then decide which test suits you better. That's what we recommend students, so that you understand the pattern and take a call, right, if you're confused. So let's go ahead. The academic and general training. Scholarships, Mansi, I'll talk about that. Yes, there's a good chance. I'll talk about that a bit later at the end of the session, right? So academic and general training. So which test is right for me? Again, I see some students who are confused between which IELTS should they take. So I just want to clarify it once and forever for you, if you're listening to me carefully. That is, if you are a student, who leave about whether a student or not. If you want to be a student, if you want to pursue higher education in an English speaking environment, the test you need to take is IELTS academic test. There's no doubt about that. UK, US, Canada, Australia, if a university is asking to prove your English proficiency, so if you're looking at it, you should be taking IELTS academic test. If you are someone who is going for a job, just don't get confused. I see some students getting confused. That is, you might be going and doing your masters for a purpose of getting a job. So you don't need to again do IELTS general training post your masters. Once you get into the country, complete your masters in an English speaking environment, you have proven your proficiency. So to get an entry is where we are talking about this exam. So if you are going directly for a job purpose, you are not going to study anywhere, you are looking for a job directly, that is when you should prove your proficiency by taking general training. That is for the permanent residence purpose. You're trying to go for Canada or Australia, UK for a work visa and then try to get into a PR process, you need to take IELTS general training. Your academic test score will not work. And other way around, if you're applying for universities, IELTS general training score does not work. So that's as simple as it. So if you are going for a work purpose, right, a training programs purpose, practical learning purpose, basically that's when you need to take general training. Otherwise you should take academic if you're looking for your masters, right? So next, let's move to the exam pattern. What exactly is the pattern of the test? What all do they test? So first and foremost, the module they test is the listening section. So you will be given 4 recordings. It will be generally a 5 to 7 minute clip. It will be with different accents. When I say it's not so heavy, like sometimes I get students feeling that, sir, I cannot understand the TV series or some of the movies I watch in English. I'll tell you, most of the movies that you watch would have a local accent or slang attached to it, which might make it hard for you to understand, and don't think that is the English that we'll be expecting here. It will be rather a little bit more polished, a little bit more refined version. For example, you can understand when you look at a commentary given in cricket, or BBC News especially. So there are certain top level domains where you clearly hear a proper pronunciation and a proper English. That's where I think you can test whether your listening skills are on par or not. So they will give accents, an Australian accent, a British accent, etc. But it will not be so heavy that you will have any complication if you are comfortable in understanding basic English. So they will give you 4 audio clips, as I said, and you're supposed to answer 10 questions for each clip. So there will be 40 questions on the whole. They'll be giving you 30 minutes. As I said, the duration of each clip will be 5 to 7 minutes. So that will come around that. You cannot repeat the audio clip. You can only listen once. So you have to be very careful with that. There are almost 9 types of questions you can see: multiple choice, match the following, plan, map, diagram, labeling, etc., that they would ask. But more or less everything is fundamentally that you can you can listen to something, you can comprehend things. Like they would tell, okay, hey, I am XYZ. Okay, I'll say, hey, I am Alex Broom. Then they'll say, can you spell your name? They'll say ALEXBROOM. So you are supposed to write that answer. They would be asked, okay, Alex blank, you should write Broom. So they will make sure that you can spell it out and all. That's taken care in the audio clips. But you are supposed to answer different types of questions, which is where I see some students getting confused. So that's where practice would help you. At least make yourself used or aware of all these patterns, right? Different types of 10 types, 9 types are what you see. Practice questions, and that's how you'll help. So there are 4 different audio clips, and the fourth one would be the hardest and first one would be the easiest. That's how they arrange it, like easier to the hardest one. Uh, Again, as I said, they will give social day context. Like for example, you're calling a gym and you're asking for membership details. The second one will be like a monologue, a person delivering a speech. Third one will be multiple people speaking. That is where the complexity start to get in, right? You get confused who is talking, who is making a statement. And finally, it's a monologue, but then it will be a hard subject like an academic subject, a university lecture. So you have to also comprehend the information given. So they keep increasing the difficulty. But altogether, 40 questions, 30 minutes. If you are doing a paper-based test, they'll give you additional 10 minutes so that you can transfer your answers from rough sheet to the main booklet. If you're doing computer-based, you won't get that additional time. But in between, they keep giving. You will be given 30 seconds to transfer your time answers. So check your answers rather, not transfer. So they'll give you a few minutes of break time in between each audio clip. So that's what you see in computer, but otherwise you would not get the transfer time in a computer-based test. There is no negative marking for IELTS, so it's an absolute blunder for a student to not mark all. Even if you're not aware, at least there'll be multiple choice. Keep doing something, right? Hope for some success to happen. So that's what I would say, that practice and get used to different audio, this question types, and practice and make sure you can concentrate for the entire 30 minutes, because concentration matters a lot in this. So how do they convert the score, right? As I said, 40 questions. So how does my 30, 25 evaluate into 6, 7, 8, 9 bands? So that's how, this is the scale you see in the IELTS website. If you get almost everything correct, that is like 39 or 40, you will be getting a 9 band, a perfect score. If you get 37 or 38 correct, you will be getting 8.5. If you get 35, 36 correct, you will be getting an 8. So that's how it's given in half bands. So depending on how many questions you get correct, you will be given a approximate, or rather the corresponding band score for the listening module. The listening modules are going to be the same for both general and academic training students. Right. So next, just give me a second. The reading part. If you're coming to the reading, you have academic reading and general training. They're two different things. I'll tell you what's the difference. First and foremost, the academic has only 3 passages, but each passage will have 13 or 14 questions. So that's how you'll get 40 questions in 60 minutes. They will be, relatively slightly longer, like 700 words, 800 words, 600 words, in and around. There are almost 15 types of questions that you see in reading comprehension: multiple choice, identifying information, writer views, etc., etc. Again, not drastically different from each other, but there are few tips and tricks that you need to understand to make your accuracy higher and do better. The important element in academic is that they pick things from the academic sources, like research papers, the books, journals, magazines, that are more written for people who are trying to do specialization, specialized degrees and all, right? Like economics, arts, literature, technology, etc. They would be picking it from, right, all you see, books, journals, magazines, etc. They will be harder to read. The complexity of the language will be harder. The vocabulary will be slightly on the higher side. That makes it a bit difficult for a student to comprehend and answer the questions accordingly, right? So that's what makes this a little bit harder for academic compared to general training. So again, there are 40 questions. Each one is for 1 mark, so you'll be getting 40 marks for it. No negative marking. So that's what you need to do in academic. When it comes to general training, there are 3 sections, but actually more than that, 5-6 passages is what you see. So the first section will have 2 or 3 short passages. The second section will have 2 another short passages, and the third will be 1 long. So generally you will see 5 to 6 passages on the whole. So they will split, into different questions for that purpose. 40 minutes, technically you'll have 6 passages or 5 passages, but still it will be only 40 questions. And these are the different types. The types will not change, but what changes is the quality of the material will be much easier here. The first section would be including a social survival. For example, like a notices, you will see in your apartment a notice that has been put up which talks about the rules for disposing your waste in your apartment, right? You need to bifurcate into green, red bags for degradable, non-degradable, etc. Maybe something like that. Maybe sometimes you will see a reading case, like you purchased a new washing machine, they've given instruction manual, read it. So that will be very easier to read. It's just that they check, can this person survive in a country where English is basically the language of communication. The second situation is workplace situation, where they would try to give you emails coming from your boss, job descriptions, contracts, some training materials, etc., which will be again a little bit easier to read compared to academic, and you need to answer the questions. The third one is a little bit harder. That will go a little bit closer to the academic. Actually, it will be more complex stuff. It will be a little bit more academic focused. They will pick it from newspapers like Economist. Difficulty wise, I'm talking about New York Times, the newspapers, magazines, etc. This will be again, I would say, something closer to the academic reading, but otherwise the first 2 sections would be relatively much easier to read and understand. 40 questions, 40 marks, no negative marking, same story. But if you see the conversion, you see the academic reading, you need to get like 39 or 40 correct to get 9. Same thing, 8.5, like what you have seen in listening module. But if you come to the general training, you should get perfectly everything right to get a 9 band. Even if you get 39, one wrong, you will be shifted to 8.5. See, to get a 7 band, I should get 30 correct in academic, but here to get a 7, I should get 34 correct. That's because, as I said, the general training is easier to read. They have set their bands in such a way that you have to get more questions correct to get a higher band in general training. Right, so that's how they convert it. Now coming to the writing part. So there are 2 writing tasks given in the writing section. Task 1 is what you'll see difference in the academic and general training. The task 2 is a simple essay, not a simple one, but an essay. So task 1 for academic would be to describe some visual information like graphs, tables. They give you a pie chart or a line graph, ask you to describe it in your own words. It will be around 150 words. You'll be given around 20 minutes to write it. So there's no bifurcation. They'll be giving you exactly 60 minutes. So you can write 22 minutes and 38 minutes. But a general rule of thumb that they recommend, and we also recommend, is because the weightage goes higher for task 2, that you should write more words and you'll be given more score for this. You should definitely try to put more time into this. So that's how they do. Task 2 is to write an essay, an argument, a view, or a problem. For example, they'll give a task 2 that looks like, a lot of people believe that youngsters should work before they get into university education. What are your views on this statement? This is what you need to agree, disagree, give your points of view on both the sides, and then come to a conclusion. Depends on, there are almost 7-8 essay types you need to practice and sort of do in the right way. And the first one is more like, as I said, a pie chart or a line graph or a bar graph or table. You need to describe it, a pictorial representation that's given. That's what you see in academic. Whereas in general training, the task 2 is the same story. You have to write an essay. There is no difference. But task 1 is a letter writing thing. There are 3 letter types. A formal, that is you're writing to your boss asking for something. The second type is a semi-formal. Let's say you're trying to reach out for a subscription to a library and you're writing to them to get some details before you decide. And the third one is you're writing to a friend. It's an informal thing. So they will give you a context. You need to write with a proper introduction, salutation, signatures and all, so that they'll know how well you understand the structures and all. How do you get graded? There are 4 parameters you can actually search through to understand a little bit more into this. They're called band descriptors. You can just search IELTS official band descriptors, right? Official band descriptors. Maybe I should write it over here. There are 4 band descriptors and they talk about it, but I'll just briefly touch upon it. So there are 2 different words, but pretty much what they talk about is, when you talk about task 1 for letter or a pictorial representation, task achievement is, has this person written 150 words? Has this person talked about the topic that is being given? If I am talking about a pie chart and you are not interpreting things correctly, right? You say the biggest one is India in particular thing as per the pie chart, and you have misinterpreted it and you have written it some other way, you will not get a good score here. So how good the student interpreted it, or if it's a letter writing task, how good the student has talked about the relevant points as per the context given in the question. When it comes to task response, if the essay is talking about work before university studies and you talk about work after university studies, you focus more on that, then you're absolutely on the wrong track. So they will look at the length of written, has this person talked about the relevant points as per the given topic and all. That is what will be taken care in the first one. You'll be graded from 0 to 9. Let's say I've written a good top and I got 8 out of 9 in this. The second one is a coherence and cohesion, which means how fluent you are in converting your thoughts into a writing part. When I say fluent, what I mean is that is there a good flow of thoughts and it's randomly picking up some random thoughts and all. Is there a good structure to your essay? That is what coherence and cohesion would help you. Let's say I have done a decent job, I got 7 out of this. The third one is lexical, which is the vocabulary. How wide the student, how wide is his or her vocabulary, lexical resource. So let's say I've used very simple words. I've been using decreasing, increasing, very basic level words. Maybe I'll be getting a 5 out of 9. Even my essay is good on other friends, but my lexical range is not so high, so they will be giving me lesser score. Grammar, I've done proper grammar, the sentence structure is fine, the past tense, present tense, the subject verb agreement, everything. And the IELTS gives a better score if you use compound complex structures over simple sentences. So if you write more longer sentences and all. So let's say I've done a good job in that and I got an 8 out of that. So my overall writing score will be the average of all 4, right? It will be like 1528 by 4, which is basically 7. So I'll be getting an overall score of 7 for this. So that's how you'll get a band for writing. They'll do for both the tasks and they'll do an average with a weighted average, but so that's how you will be given the writing score. When it comes to speaking, it will be basically 3 parts. Part 1 is where the examiner will ask general questions like about your home, your family. You need to answer with some 25-30 seconds, right? What's your favorite musical instrument? What is your favorite travel destination? So they'll ask you, then they might ask you questions, okay, why do you like it? What makes you feel special about your hometown, etc., etc., where you will be answering only for 25-30 seconds. A quick short questions that will be seen in the first part. The second part is where you'll be given a cue card. You have to randomly pick a card. It will be on a topic like, let's say, who is your role model? You need to prepare for 1 minute, then you have to speak for 2 minutes. Based on how well you speak over here, you will be graded. The third part is where they will start doing follow-up questions. That is, they will continue this topic, whatever the role model topic, for example, was your cue card. They'll start asking further questions. So why do you say your father is your role model? Then you say something, okay, what if something else has happened? So they'll be just trying to get into a conversation to understand how well you can communicate something that you're very confident about, because that's your topic. They're not talking about something else. They won't test your general knowledge. They won't test your, anything else. They'll be testing fundamentally your basic communication skills. How do a student get graded? Then again, the 4 things: fluency and coherence. Again, how fluent can a student speak? Is he or she stuttering? Are they taking a lot of pauses, breaks to speak? Are they not comfortable in communicating the ideas? That's what they look at this. The next thing is lexical resource. Again, the same thing, vocabulary range. How well the student is able to use the vocabulary range that he or she knows. Then let's say you're talking about grammatical range and accuracy. Again, grammar wise, is the student doing well? And the final part is pronunciation. So how well can he or she speak the words so that the opposite person can understand? If you have a bad habit of pronouncing the wrong way, you will not get a good score in it. But again, all these are 4 parameters. They will be giving you some scores and they'll be doing an average of it. So that's how your speaking score will come. So sometimes students will have problem with a couple of them, but that is where you need to work on the domains where you can improve and boost your overall score for the speaking or writing, for that matter, any other section. So that's how you get scored on the speaking part. So now the next question: can I prepare for IELTS on my own? This is an important question that I would want to talk about. So before I get into it, a question that I have for all of you: what do you think would be the average IELTS score across the world? So there are 2 IELTS, right? IELTS academic and general. So just give me separately, like you can say whatever you think is the average score. When I say average, it's an official data that we have from IELTS 2019 statistics. What do you think is the average IELTS score in 2019 across the world for academic and general? I would like to see some of your guesses. Obviously there is no wrong or right answer. I mean, there is a right answer, but there is no harm if you guess it wrong. So but I just want to know what is your guess. Mansi Patel, you think 6 to 6.5. Sai Tira, you think 7.5. That's being very optimistic, Sai. Himanshi, 7. Great. Few more guesses. If there's something good, I'll definitely try to see if we can give a prize, something as a reward. But yeah, Pranjal 6, okay, 7.5. Oh my god, I thought that's a good joke, but a little bit out of context, I guess. But yeah, so few of you have got it right. You're close to what the average is actually. So I'll just show you a few things. So first, the question that a lot of students ask us, like, isn't IELTS an easier exam? I would say the answer is yes and no. There's no fixed answer for it. Actually, the simplest answer I would say is like it depends. Depends on what your skill set and your desired score. So let me explain that, what I mean by that. So let's look at the world's average performance. Okay, somehow I don't know why the IELTS official website has categorized it gender based, so there's not much of a difference. The academic average across the world, this is 2019 data, is basically 6 to 6.1. Let's take it like, around 6.1. That's what is the world average. And for general training, the world average is around 6.5 to 6.6. So let's take it around 6.5, 6.6, right? That is what is the world average. And if you observe carefully in academic, you see obviously the easiest section of all is listening. That's why you see the highest is that, and the hardest would I keep it like writing. And speaking and writing are what most of the students are, very much worried about, and then comes reading, and the listening is the least of the concerns. But I'll also tell you this, that this is the section where you have to score the maximum. That is, you should be getting 8 and like maybe 7.5 or 8 in eye listening, so that you can cover it up for the other sections. That's how you should look at it. But again, come to general training. Again, obviously, you can observe that listening is the easiest of the lot. Uh, People find reading obviously relatively fine, and speaking is done better in the case of general training. The writing is also hardest. The easiest and the hardest is the same for all the categories of people. Writing is the hardest and listening is the easiest to score. So now I'll tell you a few more points. That is for India, right? This was for world. Even in India, it's not much of a difference. You see that overall academic is 6.1 and overall general training is 6.7. I'll just talk about a couple more facts. If you ask me, what do you think is a good score that a student aiming for academic purpose should look at? I would say, if you're serious, I would say 7 is what you should look at. A 7 is a minimum score that I would say. 6.5, a lot of universities put as a minimum cutoff, but you have to understand, putting in website as a minimum cutoff doesn't mean you will get a seat in that. And IELTS does not do everything for you, definitely. For US, GRE has a lot more weightage. For Germany, so if you talk about it, GRE has a better weightage, and also your profile matters a lot more. UK, Canada, IELTS is the one that you have to take that actually can help you to boost your universities. But definitely, if you're talking about, let's say, UK or Canada, where you don't take GRE or anything else, a student with the same CGPA, everything else is same, getting a 7.5 versus 6.5, the universities that they get into are going to be different. There's definitely a difference that you'll observe in the quality of universities you get. So I will tell you, a good universities would expect 7 and above. That's what I put to students. But a bare minimum is 6.5. That's what I would put it, that if you are serious about your career and you're planning to do it not for the sake of going for a vacation, rather settling down with a good career, learning and improving yourself, I think you should aspire to get it, which is pretty much doable. It's not really a hard job if you're seriously putting the effort to grow. The other thing is the general training. There is nothing that I have to say. I'll tell you simply this, that for Canada PR 7.5, 777s or overall 7.5 is the basic requirement we are observing in the industry. For Australia, it's even more worse. I would say 8 is what you need to get the highest maximum or highest possible points for your PR application. So keeping that in mind, I see anything less than 7.5 in general training will not solve your purpose. When it comes to the academic, at least you can debate that, I'll go because I get an admit, I don't care, I'll just go into the university. At least I think with 6.5 people do get in. But I'll tell you, keep 7 as the bare minimum that you should aspire to. And coming to this, what percentage of people in India get 7 and above in a year is less than 30%. Okay, and 6.5 is almost less than 40%. That means 60% of people are not even scoring 6.5 and above. They are supposed to retake it. A lot of students do that, or maybe they'll just adjust with what they get, or maybe they drop their idea. And when it comes to general training, around only 20% of the test takers are getting 7.5 and above. The rest of the takers are not getting it. Either they're reattempting it, and maybe they're moving to this phase, or maybe they're dropping their idea. Right? Altogether, that's what is the data showing. This is something you can find on IELTS official website. It is not something I'm making it up. So I'm telling you that it is not easy for each and everyone. If you are looking at a 7 as your score and your skill set is very good, I think you can do it. But then if your skill set is good, ideally you should be looking at more than that, the level of university that you apply and all. But whatever the reason be, I'll tell you that there is a merit in you looking at the exam, your skill set, and what's your desired score, and accordingly see what is the gap you have. If you are someone who's looking at 7.5 and you're already at 7.5, great. Take a few mock tests, practice them, go and attack the exam, you'll get a good score. If you are someone at 6.5, then you have to accept it that you're not at the desired level, that you need to practice, you need to take mocks, you need to learn the concepts, and you need to get the tips and tricks to somehow boost it. Obviously, it won't be easier journey, but you have to do it. If you're at a 5, obviously it's a long journey you have to undergo to get to 7.5. So something that you need to understand is this. So this is where we thought, actually, we've been getting students. The cost of an IELTS exam is 15,000. We ourselves have students who have taken IELTS on their own, then they didn't get the desired score, and then they come to us to join for our training. So that's where we thought, let's do something that could help students. That is, we are just doing a diagnostic test. This is for 100 rupees. You'll find in our website, which is a 1.5 hour test, which will test all 4 modules. You can take at your own convenience. You'll be getting a 30-minute feedback call with our trainer. So she will talk to you, our trainer will talk to you, assess your profile, like, okay, you're listening, reading, writing, speaking, this is what you are, and you need to improve here, you need to work out this, that, and all. You'll be getting a detailed analysis of, if you take IELTS right now, what will be your band scores. And we're also giving scholarships on our courses, but that's okay, right? That's something you can see later. But I'll tell you, this is something that's going to help you to assess where you are standing right now. All the questions were picked up from British Council, one of the company which conducts IELTS. So these are on par with the actual IELTS questions. So we are not even asking a tough questions intentionally or something. So these are picked from them to just make it a pretty similar exam to what you'll see in actual IELTS in the difficulty level as well. So this is something, whatever you do, this is one of the options we have. What I'm trying to say is assess where you stand right now. Understand your current ability. Once you are clear with that, see what is your desired score. And then you need to understand how I can arrive at that place, right? That's where I think that's a very logical way you should think about anything, not just this, anything. Where am I? Where do I want to go? And what is the difference? And how much of effort do I need to put to go there? And I need to do it, right? You have to do it. The idea is not to drop out of this, rather you should put the effort to get this done, right? So that's what I would say. So if you ask me, should I take preparation or not? So what I would say is, if you're interested, you can explore our diagnostic test, then talk to our trainer, see where you're struggling. Then you can obviously explore, okay, how much of an effort I need to put. Right? Obviously, we would try to talk about our courses, that we do give a lot of customized courses. We do group training, live training. We give a lot of live training sessions. We do sectional practices, full-length mock tests with personal support and all. And we also do module-wise. You are struggling only with writing. So that's where our diagnostic test helps. We ask all our students to start off with that. We will tell them where they need support and we'll accordingly plan for them. Or maybe you're good with most of the things, you just need to get used to the pattern, right? So you take mock tests with us, get feedback from our trainer for each and every mock test so that you improve from that. Or maybe you're someone who needs the personalized training, right? You're basically struggling with few topics and all. So what we will tell our students is, don't decide on the course beforehand. Maybe it's with us, or maybe it's with someone else you're more comfortable with, whatever it is, but at least understand where you are right now so that you know how much of a journey you have to undergo to achieve your desired scores. Right, now let's move to the next one, the preparation resources. What all materials can I look at? So the best thing that I would tell you that is available in the market is that official Cambridge IELTS test. This is the company which sets the questions, okay? As simple as it. Cambridge is the company which prepares IELTS exam papers, and they release books every year with new editions of mock tests. You get 4 mock tests in one book, right? And the best part is that the marks are different as well, so that way you can have enough marks to practice. There are books earlier than 13 also, 12, 11, 10, but we say that it's better to stick to these 3 because these are the latest ones with more recent patterns being imbibed. Older you go, you'll slightly get a little bit different patterns, the questions and all, but it might not be a perfect experience for you. So this is something that you can definitely practice. The problem that I'll tell you is that, again, because we ourselves do training, we have mock tests and all, again, so there are a lot of free things. Why can't I get it? Yes, you can do that, but how do you know how good you have done your essays? What is the band score you will get? Where are you not doing well? And how will you know how good your speaking skill sets are? Reading, listening, at least you can just check your scores, okay? You can check how many I got right and all. But again, getting a step-by-step path of getting the tips and going is something that you have to appreciate. As I said, but again, talking about the preparation resources, these are the best books you can look at for your mock test, because these are the best replica of the actual IELTS difficulty. Other resources that are available for free, they also do paid stuff, but they also give you some free stuff as well. IELTS List is a very famous website. So this trainer, this lady, actually is a very experienced one. She keeps doing a lot of free stuff in our website where you can talk about, understand the essay writing structures, speaking tips and all. You can read the blog, try to implement our ideas and all if you're preparing on your own to get it. There are IELTS Mentor and IELTS Advantage also. These are other two websites that we personally also like. They've done a lot of research, great work in terms of building content. So there's paid stuff as well, but they also give a lot of free, so you can make use of it. You can explore them. So when it comes to listening, it's all about practicing things. You need to get few tips and tricks so that you get used to the types of questions. Reading is also about getting those practice by difficulty, different types of question sets and all. Writing, you need to know the essay structures, build your lexical capability. That's where you have to learn some vocabulary. People by heart, students by heart for short term purpose to boost their scores, right? So there are some few tips and tricks to get a half band or a one band improvement in your score, though your fundamental skills are not as good as what you need to get a 8 or 7.5. That is where support can help you. So you need to definitely look at this, do a little bit more research to boost your scores. Now the last one, the FAQs that I'll talk about. uh, Frequently asked questions. IDP versus British Council, which one is easier, right? You're going to ask me this. So first I'll tell you what are these things. These are two companies which are also joint owners of IELTS along with the Cambridge. The thing is this, Cambridge is the one which prepares the questions, but they don't undergo all the pain of conducting the test centers, hosting the test centers across the world and all. This is where they got these players into the picture. So British Council and IDP runs test centers across the country. Okay, so basically you are supposed to select a slot. Let's say I'm trying to take in Mumbai. So you can go to one of these websites. Both of them would have obviously a center in Bombay, but some places only one of them would have. Depending on your location, you can go and book in one of these two places. On a particular day, right? Let's say you're writing the exam on Jan 10th, if there is a slot, right? The paper, the questions on that particular slot will be same irrespective of whether you take an IDP in Mumbai or British Council in Mumbai, British Council in Hyderabad, anywhere else. That particular day slot, the paper will be exactly the same. So I don't get the point why people again ask, which one is easier. Why is that so? Some people feel that evaluation is again going to be different. Writing and speaking is done by human. So I have heard that someone is doing it better, they're being more lenient, they're giving bands easier, higher and all. So I tell you, we do not have enough data to say someone is easier, but my logic says that why would any company do that? If let's say IDP tries to make it easier for people to score if they take IELTS with them, British Council is also part of this business. They would not be comfortable with it. They'll start complaining, there will be a lot of issues. They themselves also get into the game of making it more lenient and more lenient. Why would anyone want to lose in this picture, right? So point is, all of them are together in this. They are not obviously going to do something that is so obvious. You will see some differences. They have their own metrics to measure. They'll do. But there's one thing which I'll agree, that is an individual evaluator, right? Let's say there's a person A and person B. They could be of different opinions. Okay, some people could be very strict with the framework given. They use metrics and they will put to 7 for the same essay. The other person might give you 7.5 because they're a little bit more lenient, a little bit more kind towards students. Let them get a better score so that they do what they want to do in life. This is something a human based stuff. I cannot say IDP does this or British Council does that. It's more to do with that that particular examiner. This will always be there. A human intervention will make a little bit of deviation here and there, but it won't be like a 7 versus 8 or 9. Okay, it'll be a matter of just a half band here and there. So point I'm trying to say is there's nothing like an easier or a difficult company to go for IELTS. Rather try to look at the centers that are close to you, which have a better infrastructure, because the noise shouldn't be there for your listening. The effort or you're getting, the feeling that you're getting in the test center, you can just go and experience and then decide whether you want to book one of this. So rather base them on that rather than trying to think that I've heard my friend telling IDP is easier, British Council is harder, all of that. I don't really would, I have not seen with the data of our students and other students I've seen in the industry. I would rather put it this way, that take a call based on your personal preferences with respect to infrastructure, the location and all of that. The second one is computer versus paper based. Which one is easier? I'll tell you, there's not much of a difference. The question paper is going to be exactly the same. On that particular day you're writing it, the paper is again going to be the same. So what is the difference? Listening, as I said, paper based, you'll be getting 10 more minutes to transfer, but you'll not be getting to listen to the clip again. So there's not much of a difference in that way. But I still feel some people prefer to go with the paper based for listening also. I think you will only understand if you take a mock in both. That's what we make our students do. That is, we give computer based as well as paper based mocks in our courses. We make them, so you can also experience it on your own. where you try to do one computer, one paper based at least, maybe more, to understand where you're doing better, where you're feeling more comfortable. Right, reading, some people find it hard to read on a computer screen, and some people find to underline, make some notes and all in a paper, so they might prefer to go for paper based. Writing, some people don't like to write, their writing is not great, their handwriting is not so good, they're worried about it, maybe they prefer to type. And some people have lost the touch of writing it now, they find it very hard to write some 250 300 words. Again, they might want to go for computer based. Or some people have a good handwriting and they might want to go for paper based. I'll tell you, handwriting will not drastically change your score. That's never seen. We have seen people with a very bad handwriting getting a very good score in writing, and the other way around, where their handwriting is pretty good, but maybe the content needs some improvement. That's why they did not get the desired scores. So it does not have a huge impact, but obviously it should be readable. Obviously, if you write it like a doctor putting a the prescription, I think obviously everyone will find it hard. But keeping that aside, a normal average, below average will do the job. So you don't have to worry about that. But again, it's a personal choice. You have to experience what suits you better. Speaking is the same face to face, whether you go in person or you do it through video conferencing tool, computer based or paper based. Again, it's a choice you might have. I don't know if someone feels better talking to a person rather than a computer screen. So that's something you have to decide. Otherwise, the difficulty, the questions, it will be exactly the same. There's no difference. So that is not going to be that, hey, everyone finds this easier than the other. You have to experience yourself and decide what suits you better. The results are available quickly in computer, so there could be a reason why you want to choose. The booking duration, the test availability for computer based is almost throughout the year. You can write at any point of time in the 5 days a week, so almost 250 days in a year. Whereas this, you can only write once. I mean, the slots are only open once or twice a week, so almost 50 days in a year. That's what you see in paper based. So it's a little bit harder to find a slot if you have reacted slow, or if you decided to take the test a little bit too soon to the date. Right, keeping the rest of the things, it's all the same. So what I would say, which one suits me better? Two reasons or three reasons. Take a mock, understand what suits you better, accordingly take a call. See how many days you have before your deadline, and how frequently are you getting a slot. Accordingly you can decide and make a call on it. Otherwise, the difficulty wise, you won't find anything different in terms of questions. The last final question is about the IELTS indicator test. So people ask me, what exactly is this? So this is something that IELTS has come up with in the lockdown, that you can take the test from the home, right, from the comfort of your home. Basically, they do the same thing. It's exactly the same: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. No difference. It's basically a replacement for the academic test. It does not work for general training. This is something that they've given only for people who wants to continue their application process. But the problem I'll tell you is this, that IELTS indicator test, you can go to IELTS indicator, you can just search for it. They have a different website, IELTS indicator test. There you can find the university that are accepting it. I could see that in US, for example, actual IELTS is accepted by 4,500 universities, whereas in the IELTS indicator case, it's close to 400 to 450 universities. That means almost 90% of universities which accept IELTS academic are not accepting IELTS indicator test. In a way, you are just narrowing down your chances are universities, so don't go for the IELTS indicator test. Unless, I don't know if you have no other choice, but if there is a chance, even obviously tests are open, people are doing it, I don't see why you should look at it. So what I want to say is, don't think that, hey, it's very easy to take from home, let me just apply for it because it's much easier for me, it's my comfortable thing to do. The point or the problem, I would say, the test is the same, there's no difference between it. The only problem is the acceptance is very small, which basically means you are just hurting your own chances of applying to a lot of universities based on your profile. Right, so that's what I wanted to say. Now I'll keep the things open for questions. Some of the questions have popped up, I'll read them and I'll answer, and also you can keep posting the questions. Couple of points before I get into it. So we do have demo classes. We have 2 demo classes. You can attend one of them. It's up to you if you are interested to experience our live classes. We have one tomorrow morning at 10 to 11. You will be getting a notification, or rather a message which you can use to join. Otherwise, you already have received a couple of messages where we have given the registration link. You can register for it. If you can't attend it, if you're still interested, you can definitely attend our other slot available on Monday from 8 to 9 p.m. So that's something that I want to talk. Otherwise, yes, we do keep doing a lot of free stuff. We come up with a lot more content that could help you in your preparation for your application purpose, for your IELTS and other GRE, etc. So you can follow us. You can keep getting updates from us to see if we can help you more. So now I'll come back to this Q&A. So I'll keep answering your questions. So let's get into the questions. So first thing, I'll come from the extreme top. That is, do universities from Canada provide scholarship for GRE? Manoj, I'll tell you, GRE Canadian universities are not asking for GRE. There are hardly two or three top universities for certain programs where we are seeing that culture of asking for GRE. If a university is asking for it, it will definitely boost your profile if you have a good GRE score and increase your chance of getting a scholarship. Right? So it all depends on whether the university is asking for it or not, which is not the case for most of the universities in Canada. So overall profile of yours, right, like your CGPA, your research background, your work experience, your IELTS score, all of these parameters can get a chance of giving you a scholarship in that particular university. Sumit, I don't know what you meant by GRE GMAT. Maybe if you have anything specific, you can ask me. I'll help you out with that. What is the cutoff of IELTS in Germany for MBA course? Sumit, I'll tell you there's no fixed cutoff. Again, maybe if you asked it way earlier, I'll tell you 6.57 is a good score to look at as a basic, but higher it is, better your profile would be. I'm not saying a person with 8 will definitely get an admit, over 7, because there's so many other parameters in your profile, like CGPA, your experience. Maybe you're talking about a good university which might be asking for GMAT. So based on all of those parameters, IELTS is one of the parameters. But everything being same, a person with 7.58 will have a better chance than a 7 and 6.5. How much is it depends on university and all of other factors, but it will never harm you to get a good score. That's what I would put it. Uh, get scholarship with gold medal in bachelor. So Mansi, gold medal, very good CGPA, good ACADS are definitely a good boost for your profile, but doesn't automatically guarantee that. And then good IELTS score. Again, I'm telling you, if you're looking for US, GRE is much more important than IELTS or TOEFL score. If a student has 320 in GRE and an IELTS score of 7 versus a student has 300 in GRE and IELTS score of 8.5, I will tell you 320 with a 7 score will have a much better chance, unless if it's a literature based program. Generally for any STEM programs, I will tell you the students would have a better edge with a higher GRE score. But keeping that US, right, you're talking about Canada, Australia, UK, they don't ask for GRE, so higher the IELTS score will increase your chances. But I'll tell you one thing, because people are asking about the scholarships. 100% tuition waive off happens very rarely, which is due to all of your profile elements. They will decide one or two people getting it in a batch. But once you get into campus, you get assistantships, GA, graduate assistant, TA, and RA things, depending on which you can actually get a tuition waive off. Let's say this is like teaching assistant to a professor, research assistant to a prof, are doing some campus jobs. You can earn some salary, plus some of the universities give tuition waive off, which means you will be paying almost less fee or zero fee or 50% off or something like that. So for this, a basic criteria is that your English language proficiency scores should be high, right? Other than that, your CGPAs should be good. You should do well in your university after joining there. You should have a good rapport with professors. In first semester, you won't get these jobs most probably. You'll be getting from the second semester. So you will have to build your rapport, build some connects, and then prove your worth to get jobs in campus after your first semester. But that's how most of the people get into the tuition waiver or get a lot of scholarships and all. Right at the time of joining, you'll get a very meager amounts of $5,000. Meager is not a good word, but let's say covers maybe 10% or 15% of your expenses. That's the amount that we see generally. But few people with a very good profile actually can drop their college levels. Like if I can get into Harvard, I'll apply to 50 levels below, right? Let's say I apply for Colorado Boulder University. There's a good chance that I'll get a university scholarship over there. Other than that, you have loans and financial aids, so something else that we can talk. But yeah, on IELTS score alone, I would say it will increase your chance of getting a good campus jobs and accordingly tuition waive off, but not like complete scholarship with just IELTS score alone. Then Lakshmi said, I checked the website, Indian mean score is 6.7, so 50% is scoring more a pretty good score. Lakshmi, number one, mean is different from median. So mean score 6.7 does not mean half of the students are getting that. If it's assumed to be a normal distribution, I don't want to get into standard deviation, statistics over here. But I'll tell you, there's also another page you can check where you can see the percentage of people that are getting more than 7, 7.5 and all. They've given the percentages. So you can check that only 20% of general training students are getting 7, 7.5, 8 and 8.5. Sorry, 7.5 and above, sorry. Right, and you might see another 30-35% of students getting 7 and above. You say 7, 6.7 is good. For general training, it is not good. For general training, it does not solve any purpose right now. It's as simple as it. Please check that if you are confused with that. That 7 will not work for most of the applications. Let's say I decide to go masters only if I get a good scholarship and I take exam, but I don't get good band for the university. I want exams and not good scholarship, so I think of working instead. Kuldeep, I didn't understand your question. You said you want to go abroad and you get say I got 7.5, which is already good where I want to work. So I can, okay, oh, sorry. Instead of studying abroad and the band I got already is good enough where I want to work. Can I use this? I said IELTS academic general, there are two different tests. If you have used and you've got a score of academic 7.5 and you have not decided to go for university because you're not getting scholarship, then you can't use that to get a job in other countries because academic tests will not work for your work purposes. Right. And I would also tell this to students that don't assume that getting a scholarship for masters is easy. But I know a lot of students who get there, start their journey, and within one semester they'll figure out and financial means, that is get a campus jobs, TA, RA jobs, and then get tuition waiver off and all. At the end of the entire 2 years, they'll be managing to save a lot of money. It starts off with 40 lakhs as a plan, but they come up with 15, 20 lakhs. But getting 100% scholarship before you get in there, it's a very rare and hard thing to do. But people do it. I'm not denying people don't do it, but I'm saying it's a very hard, and you have to have really good stuff and accordingly plan your university shortlist and apply based on your profile and abilities. I don't know, Pranjal, what you mean by GIC. Maybe you can just explain that. Venkatramana Reddy, you'd have to take both. GRE or IELTS are two different things. If you're talking about which one should I take, I'll tell you, you need to take both. Right. GRE is different thing, IELTS is different thing. You will see top universities of Germany asking for both in their application, and you have to give the scores. And IELTS is also asked by some universities, which might say GRE is not mandatory, but IELTS is pretty much mandatory by all the public universities in Germany. Private universities are not something that students should look for Germany, especially because they cost you a lot and there's no merit in going there. Rather, they're top class universities in US, UK. It's better to spend your money. Yeah, but you should try your best when you're trying to get masters or any other program. It's a career choice, so try your best to get the best possible scores in all the parameters and try to get to a best possible university, because all of us plan to do masters only once and it should be done in the right way. Sajid, how much do we take for IELTS? So we have different courses where we charge 2,000 to 10,000 depending on you're taking mocks, you're taking module wise, you're taking the full course. But our full course is given at discount right now. We're charging 5,250 rupees for a 1 month IELTS coaching with 10 full length mock tests, which you can take over the next 6 months. That's, if you're interested, you can, our team will help you with more details. But again, it depends on what your skill set and what you need. IELTS coaching with 10 full length mock tests, which you can take over the next 6 months. That's, if you're interested, you can, our team will help you with more details. But again, it depends on what your skill set and what you need in support, and accordingly we will tell you what course suits you better. What is the maximum age to study MS in UK, US? Dwarkanath, there's no maximum age, right? I mean obviously maybe they put 60 or 70, I'm not sure about that, but I know a person who is doing his masters in Australia at the age of 55 or something. So people are doing great stuff. So ideally there's not age is not, definitely not a worry. 30s, 35s and 40s is definitely not a worry at all. 60, 70, I don't know the exact figures, but I've never seen any application telling age is a restriction. Especially for certain programs there could be very limited, but otherwise most of the programs I've never seen age as a restriction. If I get 310 in GRE for that, if I get a good college in USA, Uday, I'll tell you 310 in GRE is a very good score for you, but definitely not a great IELTS score 5.5. I'll tell you at least try to get 6.5. Some universities have a cutoff of 6.5 for, if you're talking about 310 universities, let's say I'm talking about Arizona State University, or maybe I'm talking about, let's say you can also Texas A&M for certain programs, but not for all. There are some good universities which you can talk about, top 100 in US, top 70, top 50 in US, but their IELTS expectation are 6.5. At least 6 is what you'll see. So I would say 6.5 should be something you should definitely look at. You can check yourself some of the universities that you can get, and see what's the IELTS expectation. They put minimum cutoff as 6.5. So technically you are eliminated irrespective of how good your CGPA, GRE scores are if you don't have that criteria. Sorry, just let me check if there's any problem going on. Seems to be some issue. Yeah, sorry. So some issue, I guess. 4 years work experience, having a score of 7.5 is good for applying for PR in Canada. Should 5 years work experience enhance more score? Himanshi, to be very frank, I am not actually very well versed with the point system of Canada and Australia for PR. We actually do have a lot of knowledge on the admissions for universities and all. Frankly, I might not be the perfect person. better experience would help you. That's what I've heard from the immigration friends that I know in the industry. But I'll recommend you to look at there are some point system that you'll see in Canada and Australian websites, or you can talk to some of the immigration companies. So I'm sorry for that, I would not be able to give you an answer for that. Yes, Kuldeep, you can find recording available in our YouTube channel. You can watch it later. You'll also get the access. Yeah, that's not a problem. Any more questions you have? I think something happened and most of the students have dropped. So any questions you have before I end the session? All right, then. Thanks a lot for joining it. Hope it was a useful session for you. If you are interested to attend our demo class, you can attend them tomorrow or day after tomorrow. If you think our team can help you, you can always get back to us. We will do what we can do. Any of the advices, any of the suggestions, any of our services, you can check our website to get complete understanding of our offerings. Right. So I hope it was a useful session. All the best, guys. Wish you all the best. Do good in life. If you need any help, if you think we can support you, we can do a good job. We're more than happy to support. Thanks a lot and goodbye.